Hey guys, so today we're going to look at lesson 2.4 in your textbook, and this is on write and solve inequalities. Previously, you solved multi-step equations, including equations that contained grouping symbols. You can also follow a series of steps to solve multi-step inequalities using the properties of inequality, which are similar to the properties of equality. As with equations, you can use the distributive property to eliminate grouping symbols. All right, justify the steps to solve the inequality. All right, so I like to go ahead and look at these and solve them myself first. So let's look at this inequality and see what it's going to look like. So we're going to have 5x plus 7 less than 1/3 times x minus 9. All right, so again we have parentheses, so that means we have to do distributive property. So let's just bring the left side down. And then 1/3 times x is 1/3 x, and 1/3 of 9 is 3. So a positive and a negative is a negative 3. All right, so I can go ahead and move my number to one side or the other. It looks like down here they've moved the 7 over, so let's subtract 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 cancels, so that leaves me 5x on the left side. Bring my inequality down, and I have 1/3 x. And then negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. All right, now I need to get my variable on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 1/3 x from both sides. Since I have a positive 1/3, I have to do the opposite of that, which is subtract. All right, now to add a number and a fraction, to add basically two fractions, because you can write 5 as 5/1. But to write this, or to combine these, you have to have a common denominator. So for a common denominator, I'm going to rewrite this as something over 3. So it's going to be 5 is the same thing as 15 over 3. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. All I did was rewrite the 5x as 15 over 3x. And then I can subtract the 1/3 x from that, and just kind of adding another step, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have a little refresher on combining fractions or adding or subtracting fractions. So 15/3 minus 1/3 is 14/3 x less than 10. And to get rid of this 14/3, it looks like you're multiplying, so some of you are going to want to divide. An easier way when you're working with fractions is to multiply by the reciprocal. If you multiply by the reciprocal, you're going to multiply by 3 over 14. That's the reciprocal of 14 over 3. I'm going to do the same thing on both sides of my equation. But the goal is to make this a 1. And if I multiply by the reciprocal, 3 times 14 divided by 14 times 3 is still going to be 1. So that's just easier than trying to divide a fraction by a fraction, which you're going to have to go through this process anyways. All right, and then I have less than. I multiply by a positive number, so the sign doesn't change. And then this is negative 10 over 1. So this is going to be negative 30 over 14, which can be reduced, because those are both divisible by 2, to negative 15 over 7. All right, so I went through all the steps. If you look here, it looks like they've skipped a few of the steps. So I just want to make sure that you understand how to solve through the inequality. All right, so they give us the inequality. That's given. It says eliminate the grouping symbols, so that's called distributive property. So I'm going to move distributive property up here. And then once they get rid of the distributive property, then we use subtraction property to bring the 7 over and make it -10. All right, and then after that, it's either going to be combine like terms because we did combine the two x's, or they're going to say that's division property perhaps. Let's see if they do division property to multiply by a reciprocal. They did not. So let's see. All right, so they go from subtraction property to they may just be calling that subtraction property again because it is combined in like terms, but you're subtracting a fraction from a fraction. If you come back over here and see 15/3 x minus 1/3 x, even though those are on the same side, you could call that combined in like terms, but they're going with subtraction property. And then the last term, again, they skipped this step here by reducing the fraction, and they went straight to that. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know. All right, it says justify the steps. All right, this gives us another one to work. All right, justify the steps. Okay, so from 2/5 times the parentheses. So again, they're using distributive property. And then after they use distributive property, it looks like they have subtracted the 10 from the other side, or from both sides. So let's drop that in there. And then once we get to this step, we're going to solve for x. So we need to divide both sides by -2. So if you divide both sides by -2, remember with an inequality, when you multiply or divide by negative, you switch the sign. So you got to change the direction on the sign. So it's going to be x less than or equal to 3. And then we can check to see that that's correct. All right, it says when I reached this step, I needed to blank on both sides. So when they get here, they needed to divide on both sides. I had to remember to switch or reverse this inequality symbol to make sure when you divide, you have to do that. All right, when modeling real-world situations, look for mathematical relationships such as no more than or at least to determine which inequality symbol is used in your model. You can write and solve an inequality to solve a problem like the following. Lightning Speed charges a setup fee of $250 plus $90 per month for internet service. In an instant charges $115 per month for service. For how many months must someone subscribe to internet service in order for the total cost of lightning speed to be less expensive than the total cost of in an instant? All right, so they want us to set this up as an equation. So at first they're talking about here is the total cost of lightning speed. So if you look right above here, the total cost setup fee was $250 plus $90 a month. So we're going to do $250 here, and monthly fee was $90. And then it says for an instant or in an instant is $115 times the number of months. And then it says the internet, in order for the total lightning speed to be less expensive, so we want lightning to be less expensive than in an instant. So we have to drop the less than symbol in there to make that work. All right, it says write an inequality. State the verbal model as an inequality. Select the correct answer to complete the inequality. All right, so 290 plus 90m is less than, and if you look up here, it was less than 115 times the monthly rate. So we need 115m. And that writes our inequality. All right, now they want us to solve the inequality. All right, so the first thing it says subtraction property. So we're going to subtract the same variable, the m. So subtract 90 from both sides, and you're going to get 250 is less than 25m. And then we're going to divide both sides by 25. Okay, if you divide both sides by 25, you're going to get m, or you're going to get 10 less than m, or it can be read as m greater than 10. All right, they want us to just select the graph or select the correct number line. So if this says m less than, oh wait a minute, sorry, that's the wrong one. Up here's the problem. All right, so we want m greater than 10 or 10 less than m. I like to read it with the variable first, m greater than 10, so we know all the numbers larger than 10 is what we want. So if you look at this number line, this is greater than 10, this is less than 10. These are both 5, so it has to be the one that is greater than 10. All right, the last question says, select the correct answer to complete the sentence. Someone must subscribe to internet service for more than blank months for the total cost of lightning speed to be less than the total cost of in an instant. So someone must subscribe for more than 10 months. So we got m greater than 10. So more than 10 months would be the correct answer. So that's a little bit about inequalities. If you have any questions, please let me know.